Hey guys, this is Amanda doing a video for Foxtique of some of my products and painting, showing you guys basically my process. Today I'm going to be painting a tote bag. It's going to be that painting I actually just posted in the beginning. My Etsy shop is Byrdie's Handmade Decor. Byrdie spelled with a Y. Kind of a play on my last name. So let's get started here. I've got my tote bag ready to go. And I'm going to take here this blue Choco paper because it shows up really nice. And it gives me a good starting point. I used to use stencils, but the stencils I had for this particular project didn't really work out all that well in any way, shape, or form because, well, they were cardstock. Cardstock causes bleeding and it just doesn't work out so well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tape this down. It's not going to leave any marks except for the ones that I cause. Oops. Just going to tape it down with painter's tape because it removes easily. It doesn't destroy any kind of paint, any kind of paper or anything like that. Doesn't mess up the paint. And holds in place what I need it to hold in place. Okay, so the Choco paper is taped down. I feel like you guys really can't see this. Let's try that. That's probably a little better there. Alright, so I've got the Choco paper in place. Now I take my printout here and I place it exactly as I want it to show up on the tote bag. And I take some more painter's tape and tape it on. I do have some things I've made stencils for. The best thing I've found that makes for a great stencil, aside from that silly little stencil film, is actually shrinky dink paper. Yes, that's right, I said shrinky dink paper. If you're not old enough to know what shrinky dinks are, I'm sorry you missed one of the greatest joys of being a child in the 80s. Alright, so now we're ready to go. Everything's all taped up, ready to go. Time to start tracing. If I had a pen. Give me a sec. Pen works better than pencil. Granted, they both go through the paper. So, I start tracing my letters. Tracing onto any kind of canvas material is not the easiest thing to do because canvas isn't flat. This is going to take me a few minutes. I wish I had questions to answer, but our Periscope feed didn't work out so well because Periscope and my phone don't like each other. it happens. What can I say? So yes, the tracing is much harder than it looks because it is a canvas material. But the greatest part about the Choco paper is if I mess up, I can just take some water and a rag and fix it. As in, erase it. And then it doesn't show up anymore on anything that I'm tracing. Works out pretty well that way. So I'm just tracing along, tracing along, tracing along. I'm only tracing along the outside of the letter so I can paint the inside of the letter. The font is a copper plate font because that was the font that Hannibal wrote in. That was his handwriting style. And well, eat the root, kind of a Hannibal thing. So, because how did the wording go? Hannibal believed, if feasible, one should always eat the root. And after the things I've been through this morning and last night, I'm definitely going to agree. One should always eat the root when feasible. Alright, so that's one word down. I still have two more to go. They're a little bit of a pain, but you know, it all depends on what kind of font you choose and all that for the time that's involved and the skill that's involved once it gets to the painting part. But this does make life easier than using stencils. Much easier than using stencils. You don't have to worry about stencil glue or stencil bleed because you keep control of everything you're about to paint. I know I trace a little strange. I find it easier to do letters a specific way. Even when I'm cutting stencils, it just, there's something about it that gives it that much, I guess, more control, you could say. Yeah, I like control, sorry. Particularly over things in my store. If you have any special requests at any point in time, or you just want to chat and you want to know more, excuse me, about my process, you can always email me at byrdeshandmade@gmail.com. BYRDIES handmade@gmail.com. More than willing. If there's a special request, I can try to accommodate you. Working on expanding my product line, so I'm taking some polls on my Facebook and on my Twitter and on my face. No, I'm not doing it on my Instagram. So just Facebook and Twitter. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Box Teak's gonna hook you guys up with all those links. So You're good there. Oh, and the Etsy shop. Forgot about that. How could I forget about my main selling platform? Oops. My bad. Alright, so I'm almost done with the tracing here. As you can see, when I do switch it up a little bit by not just following the whole letter, but kind of doing my own thing here, it does work out a little faster. It's still nice and accurate. Works out pretty well. The only thing I'm kind of sad about here right now. Alright, so we're almost done here. Just got one more letter left to paint. I either outline the letters or I just kind of paint them in, make sure the outline looks good. I am not outlining this one. I'm just going to kind of paint it here. I just follow the tracing. If it matters, the brush I'm using is a number 2 round. The brand is Zen by Royal and Langnickel. I really like them because they're comfortable to hold, easy to use. And since I've got this one and the script liner brush that look a lot alike, I tend to keep the sticker on, as you can see. It's an interesting thing that they're two totally different brushes. One's wider than the other, has more of a point than the other when you want it to. And yet, they kind of look a lot alike. I'm just painting in where the tracing was. And then to get that signature little point on the edge, I just carefully move the brush so that I can get that signature point on the end of this particular copper plate font. This font is definitely one of those that's a little easier to paint if you've got some kind of stencil to work with, just because it's a little tricky when it comes to do the points and make sure everything looks perfect. Sorry, I'm gonna pull this away for a moment so I can make sure that I'm getting it good. The tote bag is kind of a brushed form of natural color canvas. So it's a bit of an issue. Sorry. Apparently my hairdresser's calling. Because, we gotta go.
Okay, no problem.
I gotta go and get these pink streaks that you can barely see. Yeah, I gotta go get those touched up. They're a little faded. Get them brightened up so they're nice and pretty. Alright, so now that I'm almost done here, I'm just finishing off the middle of this E. And I can show you guys the final product. Then I'm going to show you one of my favorite new items in my shop. Because it's special to me. I started making pillows. And it's definitely my favorite pillow by far. And if you have any suggestions or questions, comments, custom, anything you'd like to see on a pillow, hit me up in an email, BYRDIES, handmade@gmail.com. So, here is your finished Eat the Rude tote bag. Pretty sweet, right? Have a great one, guys.